Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the garage. So once again, we're picking up with our 4-link project. We're going to try and get some more done on that. Really the big goal for tonight is to get everything we have here all welded in and then move on to our panhard bar. Now we'll talk about that in a little bit. First thing I want to address is I know I had a lot of comments about how we set up the 4-link. So we talked about this bracket right here, where it sits and all that. So it is currently about 8.5 inches off the ground. If we put the bottom of that bracket level with the bottom of the bracket at the axle, it's a 6 or 6.5 inches. So we're 2 or 2.5 inches high. Now if I move this bar up 2 holes on the rear bracket, it will be level. So I know there's been a lot of comments about that, and most of you probably know more than I do about this, and thus I'm not saying you're wrong or anything like that. I just want to kind of explain myself. So my point is I want to try and have this up, so if we get in a situation where we got to load this on a different trailer than mine, or even my trailer, I don't know if I can load it with it at the 6-inch ride height or 6.5, whatever it was, without boards and all that. And if you guys follow along with the channel, you know I pretty much do everything by myself. So I don't want to get jammed up in that way. Am I sacrificing adjustability with the 4-link setup? Absolutely, I'm aware of this. Now, that being said, worst comes to worst. If we find out that we cannot get the adjustment where we want on the 4-link, it's not that much work to cut this tube. We can cut that flush with the frame and move it down, or even replace the tube there. And then of course all of our gussets will need to be replaced and all that, because we're going to gusset this thing in a few spots, probably from here over, down below, up, so on and so forth. Just triangulate everything and make it as strong as possible. Is it more work? 100%, absolutely. But if you guys follow the channel, I'm not opposed to work. I'm not opposed to hard work. I'm not opposed to having to do stuff a few times. But I'm learning, as well as a lot of you are learning. So we're going to learn if this is okay or if this works. Who knows? It might work out fine. We might get the instant center perfect where we want it, or we might not. I mean, there's a lot of factors involved. I mean, we don't know the weight of the vehicle. We don't know where the center of gravity is. I mean, obviously it's up there somewhere, being this is a factory frame 4-link. So are we doing this differently than has been suggested and all that? Absolutely. I know that. I know it's easy to just say, hey, this is how it should be, but I'm trying to think of some other factors, because I don't want to just drag race the truck. I do want to drag race the truck. That is the truck's primary focus. I mean, with the cage and all that, primary focus is drag racing. But with the power plant we have in there, capable with the nitro setup of 2,000 horsepower, hopefully. I mean, that's what the engine was built for. If there's a dyno day somewhere, we're taking the truck. It's stuff like that. And there's these mobile dynos and stuff like that. You never know what situation you're getting into. I just don't want that bracket so low that it impedes us from doing anything with the truck we want. With the amount of time and effort that I have in with this truck, I want to use it for everything possible. Now that's a limited number of things, being that it is a solid block, but hopefully later this year you'll kind of catch my drift as to what I'm talking about. But I want to be able to use the truck. So if I got to give up a little bit in adjustability there in order to be able to do something else, I'm going to make that sacrifice right now. And like I said, if we find out it's a problem and we got to change it, what's it going to take us to change all that gussets and stuff like that? A week? A week of nights in the garage. It's nothing new to us. We've built a whole 25/6 cert cage. Never done that before. So, well, not that we know that it's going to certify. Well, it's not going to certify for that, but because we're missing the X between the frame on the floor. But anyway, guys, I know a little rant there, but I just want to kind of show you where my head's at on the whole thing. So, anyway, tonight we're going to get to welding these tubes up, those tubes up. We're going to leave everything long until we start gusseting, and then we'll cut it, which to gusset it, we're going to need to order tube, which I haven't done already. I haven't done yet, but then we're gonna move to our panhard bar, and the panhard bar is basically a bar that's gonna go from the axle over there to the frame over here. We're gonna try and put it as level as possible to keep the axle as centered as possible. If you have it at more of an angle, you're gonna get more movement as the chassis moves. But our panhard bar consists of this bar, this tube end, because we'll have to cut it, these brackets, and then there's tabs over there for the other end that goes on the frame. So let's get to welding all this stuff up, and then we'll get to looking at our panhard bar. And if I'm wrong about it's a panhard bar, I know I'm gonna get crap in the comments. Look, it's the first time I've done a 4-link. Give me a little slack, please. That little bit at the end there was meant to be a joke, so just don't take it too seriously, all right, guys? All right, let's get to it. So all of our 4-link stuff is completely welded. All the front bracketry, the tubes, all that. All we have is some ends sticking out until we gusset it, and then we'll cut those down. Not a big deal. So the axle brackets are done. The forward 4-link brackets are done. Now onto our panhard bar. So this is what's going to locate the axle. So this is what's going to keep the axle from going back and forth. As you know, with our 4-link bars, you know, you have that movement within your heim joint. So, you know, there's possibility that the without panhard bar, the axle is going to want to go all over the place. It's not going to be stable. So here's our panhard bar. Here's about where I think we're going to put that bracket, and then this we want as level as possible. So what we'll do is we'll put it somewhere down here on the frame, but we have to cut our tube down and then weld our tube end in, and we also have to cut the brackets because I'm assuming they make. All right, so I'm assuming they make these brackets like this. So if you were doing a full back half, you would have the correct brackets, but in our case, we have a full frame. So we will have to cut these and make them flat, and we'll have to see where it all lines up as far as our little notch here, you know, with the center of the axle. So if we look at the axle center line that I have marked, they should end up right like here. So if we just cut them flat, we should be good. You know, if we move the axle back for whatever reason, we'd have to make one a little shorter than the other, or notch it or whatever. So we'll get to doing that. We'll cut these down, we'll cut our tube down, get everything tacked up, and see how she looks, and then weld her in. Yeah, this is certainly a neat little project. I was definitely kind of worried about how long it was going to take, and here, just a few nights in the garage, and other than our anti-roll bar, which is kind of optional, especially considering this is a 4-wheel drive truck, so it won't have as much of an impact, but, well, I'm assuming, which I shouldn't assume. Anyway, let's just get this done. It's getting late, and I'm starting to ramble already. So our pan arm bar is in. As you guys can see, it's almost as long as possible. We have a little bit of clearance over here. It's not quite level, but it is as close to level as we can get it with our ride height. So where we have the truck sitting is where it was sitting before, where I want it to sit currently. In the future, that could change. We might have to change some stuff, but I just went with how it was sitting previously because I liked it and I was fine with it. So it's a little off kilter, but it's as good as we can do without like building another bracket or whatever. But we're to the frame, which is as solid as we can get. Yeah, everything's looking good. We're fully welded on everything. So that's tightened up. I also moved our 4-link bars to kind of more of a aesthetic look, something that looks more of like something we might actually run. You know, we got the bottom bar straight and then the top one shooting down. Obviously, we're gonna have to figure out the instant center, which we haven't really talked about too much, but basically it's like where the 4-link is applying force in reference to like the center of gravity and all that kind of stuff. It's definitely stuff I'm trying to learn about, but I'm not quite there yet. But anyway, I just kind of moved them down, made it look a little bit more like you would expect to see. So our 4-link is, for the most part, basically done. So the only other thing we have is our anti-roll bar, which is really just like an add-on, an extra thing. If we were a 2-wheel drive truck, it would be 100% necessary. I think as a 4-wheel drive truck, this is just my opinion from what I've read. As a 4-wheel drive truck, it's going to have less impact than a 2-wheel drive. 2-wheel drive, it's like a necessity. So anyhow, the 4-link bars will set up, you know, where the axle is placed in reference to the frame. The pan arm bar is going to keep, you know, the axle from going back and forth. I mean, I'm sure, or I shouldn't say I'm sure. I know it's a little more complex than that, but that's kind of the gist of it. So we're looking good. Like I said, everything's welded up. Obviously, we have bars sticking out a little further than they should because eventually we're going to gusset this, and I haven't decided exactly how we're going to go about that, but we have extra. We're good there. Everything's looking good. I mean, this thing, it's looking proper. I mean, rear end wise, we get our oh, that's the other thing. That's the only thing I forgot to do this. I shouldn't say to do this. It's the only thing we have left to do as far as like making the 4-link complete. We don't have our coilovers. What we're gonna have to do is build a bar or something and then have our shock slash, well, our coilover brackets, not slot. Man, it's late. We need our coilover brackets in there. That'll be our shock slash spring, and that will control how the truck reacts and all that kind of stuff. So basically what we'll do is I'll figure out what we're gonna do for a bar. We'll mount our shock mounts, and then we'll just put a piece of steel in there for now, just to hold the truck up so we can get it off the jacks. The truck will actually be able to be pushed around or moved or whatnot. But so guys, it's another late night in the garage, as you can probably tell. Yeah, we need coilover stuff, but the problem with ordering coilovers, we really need to know what the weight bias is with me in it, like corner to corner, front to back, diagonally, all that kind of stuff. With what we've done over the past year, I have absolutely no idea what this truck weighs. So it was 5,700 pounds, I think it was, with me in it before. We cut a lot more steel out of it. We've added a cage. We cut off our leaf springs. We added a 4-link. It's anybody's guess what this thing weighs. I'm not even going to guess. I really don't know. It's going to be substantially different, I'm sure. Plus, we got maybe some other things in the works that might change that as well. Yada, yada, yada. The 4-link is essentially done. We have, coilovers and our anti-roll bar, and then we'll be complete fully, and we'll have to find our next project on the race truck. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope this 4-link content's interesting. I know I don't know 100% about it. I'm still learning. I'm always looking for knowledge. I know a lot of you don't like the brackets, but we talked about that earlier. So anyway, guys, please like the video. Subscribe to the channel for sure. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Get it in your garage. Get the wrenching on your truck.